Welcome to Learn English podcast. North and South Korea, a short history. Hello everyone. Whether you're just starting to learn English or you're looking to improve your speaking skills, you've come to the right place. Before we start this video, be sure to subscribe to my channel to get daily videos. And I don't want you to miss any of our lessons today. We learn through stories, slow, clear, and fun. Listen, relax, and enjoy the journey. One introduction. This is a story about a land called Korea. Korea is not a very big country on the map, but it lives near some very big and strong neighbors. These neighbors are countries like China, Russia, Japan, and later the United States of America. These powerful countries are important in the world. Korea has always been in a position between these big neighbors. Its history often involves dealing with their influence. For many, many hundreds of years, China was the most powerful country in Asia. Korea had a special relationship with China. Korea learned many things from China and followed its ways. Korea respected China very much. It was like a smaller friend to a bigger friend. During this long time, Korea stayed mostly closed off from the rest of the world. But the world started to change. Powerful countries from Europe came to Asia across the seas. Japan also became strong very quickly. Japan learned new ways and built a modern army. Japan wanted to be a big power in Asia. Then, a war happened between China and Japan. This was from the year 1894 to 1895. Japan won this war. This was a very big change in Asia. China was not the strongest power anymore. Japan became the new strong power in the region. This war had a big effect on Korea. Because Japan won, Korea was not so close to China anymore. In the year 1895, Korea started a new time. It began to stand more on its own. This was a difficult time for Korea. It was a small country in the middle of big and powerful countries that wanted to have control or influence over its land and its future. This is the start of the story of modern Korea. It is the story of one land, Korea, that later became two countries, North Korea and South Korea. It tells how these two countries grew in very different ways. The story will show how Korea, caught between powerful neighbors, faced hard times and how this led to its division. It explains how North and South Korea became the countries they are today, with different governments, different ways of life, and different relationships with the world. 2. A hard start. After being dependent on China for a very long time, Korea was now on its own. This time was new and it was hard. Korea had big, powerful neighbors like Russia and Japan. The country needed to find a way to be strong by itself. Korea tried to become modern. It wanted to be like other countries that were growing strong. Korea built new schools and started colleges and universities. It also worked on making its army new and better. Korea got help and training from Russia for its army. The country looked at places like Japan to see how they became modern and tried to follow some of their ideas. Korea also tried to make friends with Russia. It hoped Russia would help protect its independence and help it become more modern. But Japan also wanted more power in Asia, especially over Korea. Japan thought Korea was not modern enough and should be controlled. This led to problems between Russia and Japan. In 1904, Russia and Japan fought a war. Japan won the war. After Japan won, it became much more powerful in the region. Japan started to take more and more control over Korea. Life became very difficult for the Korean people. Japan treated Korea like a colony. This meant Japan used Korea's land and its people for Japan's own needs. Japan took resources and used Korean workers. Japan built roads and factories, but often these helped Japan more than Korea. Japan also tried to change Korean culture and traditions. In 1910, Japan officially made Korea a part of the Japanese Empire. This was a very sad time for Korea. This difficult period under Japan lasted for many years. When it finally ended much later, Korea had few people who had experience running a country. Japan had mostly used Japanese people to manage things. This made the future start even harder for Korea. To Korea's start after World War II finished in the year 1945, Japan had to leave Korea. For many years, Japan was in control. Now Korea was free, but not fully. Soldiers from two powerful countries came. Soldiers from America went to the southern part of Korea. Soldiers from the Soviet Union, a very big country at that time, went to the northern part. This happened because the world was starting a new time called the Cold War. It was a time when America and the Soviet Union were the two main powers. They had very different ideas. America liked capitalism and democracy. The Soviet Union liked communism. They did not fight a hot war with many bombs, but they were not friends. They wanted to have more power and influence around the world. Korea was in a place that was important to both of them. America and the Soviet Union needed a quick way to decide where each side would be. Two American officers looked at a map. They chose a line on the map called the 38th parallel. This line went across Korea. The north side was for the Soviet soldiers, and the south side was for the American soldiers. This split was meant to be only for a short time, maybe 5 years. The idea was that after this time, Korea would become one country again, ruled by Koreans. But the two big countries had trouble agreeing. They met several times to talk about how to make Korea one again. The Soviet Union had ideas for a leader. America did not agree. America took the problem to the United Nations, a world group. The United Nations said that both sides should leave and let Koreans vote for their government. But the Soviet Union did not agree with this plan. As the talks failed, the two parts of Korea started to grow apart. In the north, under the influence of the Soviet Union, a government was formed. Kim Il-sung became the leader there. He had strong ties with the Soviet Union. In the south, under the influence of America, a different government was formed. Syngman Rhee became the main leader there. He had lived in America and was against communism. So in the year 1948, two separate countries were officially started in Korea. The north part became the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, often called North Korea. The south part became the Republic of Korea, often called South Korea. The soldiers from America and the Soviet Union left Korea, but the division they made stayed. This was a very important moment in Korean history. For a long, long time, Korea was one country. Now it was two. The people in the north and the south were the same people with the same history and language, but they were starting on two different paths. The leaders in the north and south had different plans for their countries. They looked to their powerful friends, the Soviet Union and America, for help and ideas. The hope for a single united Korea was still there for many people. But the reality was that two Koreas now existed. This division created many problems for the future. It wanted all of Korea to be one country under its rule. It thought fighting was the way to make this happen quickly. North Korea talked to its friends, the Soviet Union and China. They agreed to help North Korea with weapons and support. In the year 1950, the fighting started. This was the beginning of the Korean War. Soldiers from North Korea moved quickly south across the line that divided the country, the 38th parallel. They were strong and pushed back the soldiers in South Korea very fast. Many people in South Korea were scared and had to leave their homes. It looked like North Korea would win the war quickly and make Korea one country again. But then help came for South Korea from around the world. Soldiers from many other countries arrived to help South Korea fight. The United Nations sent soldiers, and the United States of America led these forces. They fought hard against the North Korean army. They pushed the North Korean soldiers back north, past the first dividing line. They went very far north, almost reaching the border with China. China saw this and did not like having soldiers from the USA and other countries so close to its border. China sent many soldiers, hundreds of thousands of them, to help North Korea. The fighting became very difficult for everyone. The armies pushed each other back and forth across the land. The line between the two sides moved many times, but it ended up being close to where it started in the middle of the country. The war was not quick like North Korea thought. It went on for 3 long years and caused a lot of damage. In the year 1953, the war stopped. The two sides agreed to stop fighting. This stop is called an armistice. It is a promise to not shoot anymore, but it is not a peace treaty. No one side won the war completely. The country was still divided into 2 parts, North Korea and South Korea. To keep the 2 sides apart and stop more fighting, they made a special area. This area is a line on the land about 4 kilometers wide. It is called the Demilitarized Zone, or DMZ. Soldiers from both sides watch this line carefully, but they cannot go into the zone easily. It is a very dangerous place for people because of the soldiers and old landmines left from the war. But because people cannot go there, nature is safe and can grow. Many different kinds of animals and plants live well in the DMZ now. It has become a safe home for wildlife, like rare birds and other animals in the middle of a dangerous border. The Korean War was a sad and hard time for Korea. After the war ended, the country in the north started the difficult work of building everything again. It decided to follow a special idea for its future path. This important idea was called Yusha. Yusha means being strong by yourself and not needing help from other countries. Because of this idea, the government took control of almost everything inside North Korea. It controlled the farms where food was grown and the factories where goods were made. The government told people what to make and how much. North Korea did not want to trade much with other nations around the world. It tried to stay separate and rely only on its own people and resources. This was partly because the leaders did not want the country to depend on bigger countries, remembering past times when Korea was controlled by others. The government also thought it was very important to have a very strong army. The army was a big part of the country's life and economy. The government used many pictures, songs and stories to share its ideas and goals with the people. This was a strong way to tell everyone about the country and help them feel united. This was called propaganda, and it was seen and heard everywhere. People in North Korea lived their daily lives. They went to work each day, did their jobs, and cared for their families. However, life was sometimes hard. The country had problems getting new machines and technology from other places because it stayed separate from many parts of the world. It also needed money to build the country. While North Korea had some natural things like minerals and factories, the land was not good for farming, so growing enough food was a big challenge for the country. At the start, North Korea got some help from other communist countries, but then it strongly focused on the Juche idea, wanting to rely only on itself. This was a very difficult path. The government borrowed money from other nations to try and build the country, but later it could not pay the money back. This made it very hard for North Korea to get help or trade with many countries in the future. This strong focus on being separate and trying to be strong by itself shaped how North Korea grew in the years after the war ended. It made the country different from others and created its own unique road. After the difficult Korean War, South Korea needed to build itself again. The country was very poor at that time. The first governments were led by strong people who had great power. A main idea for the government was to make South Korea much richer and more successful than North Korea. The leaders believed this would show their system was better than the North's. To make the country richer quickly, the government chose to support certain large businesses. Many of these were family-owned companies called chaebols. This word means rich family. The government provided these companies with a lot of help. They gave them money from the banks which the government owned. They also made rules to protect these companies, like making it hard for companies from other countries to sell things in South Korea. The government even directed the chaebols to start new types of businesses. For example, they pushed companies to build large ships or make steel, even if it seemed difficult at first. They got into many different fields like making clothes, cars, and even food. These big companies grew very quickly and started making many different products. They built ships, made cars, produced steel, and later became famous for electronics like televisions and mobile phones. Because of this, South Korea's economy grew at an amazing speed, much faster than many countries in Europe at that time. People called this period of very fast growth the miracle on the Han River. This fast economic growth meant that life improved greatly for many people in South Korea. There were many new jobs created in factories and businesses. More and more, people could go to school and university. The government also worked to help people by supporting farmers and building public housing. The reason for helping the average person was also to prevent people from wanting a different system, like the one in North Korea, by making their lives better. While the economy grew, the government was not always fair. Sometimes people did not have full freedom to say what they thought or protest, but the country was changing fast. From being poor, South Korea became a rich and modern country with businesses that were important around the world. By the 1960s, South Korea was still developing, but its future looked brighter. Later, both North and South Korea saw new big changes. In North Korea, the Soviet Union, a country that gave much help, ended in 1991. This meant North Korea received less money and support. The later Kim Il-sung died in 1994. His son, Kim Jong-il, became the new leader. Under Kim Jong-il, the army became very important. This was called the Songun policy, meaning military first. The military helped with the economy and building things. The country started building strong weapons, like nuclear bombs. This was to protect itself and show it was strong. North Korea sometimes tried to talk with other countries, like in the 1990s and 2000, hoping for aid. But relations often became difficult again. Mostly North Korea stayed separate and alone. It was afraid of other countries wanting to control it or change its government. It feared what happened to the Soviet Union could happen there. In South Korea, people wanted more from their government. In the past, the government had strong control, and elections were not always fair. People wanted more freedom and a government that listened to them. They protested many times in the streets, asking for a better, fairer government and more rights. These protests were strong and continued for many years. Because many people protested, South Korea started to change. It became more democratic. For example, people could vote directly for the president, and citizens gained more rights and freedoms. By the 1990s, South Korea had become a strong democracy. Then in 1997, there was a big money problem in many countries in Asia. This problem also hurt South Korea badly. Many companies had money problems and big debts. The country needed to change how its businesses worked to fix this and compete better in the world. Before, the government helped guide businesses a lot. Now, South Korea moved to a system where businesses were more free, like in the United States. Big companies, called chaebols, were already important in the economy. After this money problem, these big companies became even more powerful in the economy and in the country's politics. They had a lot of money and influence. Sometimes people thought they had too much power, and there were problems with fairness and corruption linked to them. This period brought different paths for North and South Korea. The North focused more on its army and staying separate, building its own power and fearing outside influence. The South focused on making its democracy and economy stronger, facing new challenges like the money crisis and the power of big companies in a more open system. 8. Korea's now and later today, South Korea is known around the world for its culture. Many people like its music, called K-pop, and watch its TV shows and movies. South Korea shares its culture with other countries, and people in many places enjoy it. Even in North Korea, some people watch South Korean shows in secret. Kim Jong-un is now the leader of North Korea. Under his leadership, there have been some small changes in the economy. For example, the government has allowed people to buy and sell some things more freely. North Korea still faces many rules from other countries that stop it from trading easily. Because of this, it trades a lot with China. This helps North Korea get the things it needs. North Korea is still quite separate from most of the world, but some people there know about the outside because they watch foreign media or work in other countries like China. Both North and South Korea continue to follow their own different paths. The world watches what happens between them and how they interact with other big countries. Relationships with powerful nations like the United States are always changing. These changes can affect what happens next for both Koreas. The story of this land and its two countries is still going on. Thank you for joining me in today. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming lessons. Keep practicing. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next lesson.